Builder tool today. I'll talk a little bit about assessment, year-end assessment, and looking at those new curriculum outcomes, just so that we're all on the same page about what that means, and then accessing the tool, and then building our comments, and then a little bit about getting into PowerTeacher Pro. Because we don't have classrooms of kids at the consultant level, we don't really have access to PowerTeacher Pro in the same way that a teacher does. So I can't demonstrate that, but I'll show you pieces of that. And then we have a video that EdTech made to kind of take you the rest of the way with that. And of course, if you have any questions, please jump in the chat, unmute yourself. Feel free to participate along. And then email me as well afterwards, or email any of the consultant teams. You can even reach out at elementary@cssd.ab.ca, and we will all answer. So let's just talk a little bit about what we actually assess and report on for the progress reports before we get into the actual tool. This might be a bit of a review for some, but it's important to come into the Builder tool with this lens. So with the new architecture of the new curriculum, of course, it's that yellow piece there, that learning outcome, that is the piece that is assessed and reported on. So the cusps, the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures are the ways that we access that learning outcome, the ways that we gather evidence, but our progress reports need to reflect the learning outcome. And that piece is really important and really embedded within the progress report builder tool. And then when we look at our learning outcome for any of our new curriculum subjects, the key question here is, to what extent has the student demonstrated their learning toward that outcome? And so that we can look at all of our evidence, all of the things that we've worked on with students through those cusps to answer that question, to what extent have they demonstrated their learning? It's also really important to look at the verb in the outcomes, to think about this question, to what extent. So if we look at this one, this is a grade 2 math outcome. Our verb here is investigate, right? Investigate addition and subtraction. So to what extent has the student investigated addition and subtraction? It doesn't mean, recall to perfection and solve and get perfect accuracy. It means investigate. And those cusps that go under this outcome are that means to get there. There's another example we have here. This is a grade 4. The verb in this one is explain. So to what extent can students explain the properties of prime and composite numbers using multiplication and division? They don't have to have perfect recall or perfect understanding. They have to be able to explain the properties of prime and composite numbers using multiplication and division. So that verb is very important. Mary Chen and I can support a lot with the verbs in math specifically, but the other subjects like science, ELAL, and the new social that's coming, they also use that same focus on verbs, and those verbs help to guide us to answer this question: to what extent has the student demonstrated their learning? So of course, we use our cusps, our knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures to support that outcome, like we've said. So we don't assess and report on the cusps. We assess and report on the outcomes. This is where it gets important. So this is an outcome with our cusps. This is from the grade 4 ELAL. So again, if you see, you can see our verb here. Apply is our verb. So the question is, to what extent can students apply fluency strategies to develop reading comprehension? And then these are our cusps. These cusps we teach. This is our day-to-day. This is like the grind of it. And they support our decision to answer that question, to what extent. The complexity here is that not all cusps are weighted equally. Some of them have more, there's more involvement with some cusps than with other cusps, and with sometimes students might not get all of the cusps, but they might get many of the cusps and they're progressing towards. So we can use that as evidence. We don't have to have mastery of every single cusp, especially in our first year of implementation. And I would argue for Division 1, even our second year of implementation. So that's why the cusps help to support our decision, but we always assess and report the actual outcome. And how do you know? Of course, through our triangulation of evidence, observations, conversations, and products. So we want to make sure that we're not only doing testing, for example, that we also have conversations. We also give students the opportunity to share verbally and through different means they're learning towards that outcome. Here's another example of an outcome with supporting cusps. This is grade 2 math, and our verb here is interpret. So to what extent can students interpret part-whole relationships using unit fractions and then the list of cusps that support that? There are really great verb tools in math. We can share those out if you're interested. Email Mary Chan or myself, Jessie Zanutig, if you're interested in verb toolkits to help you understand what actually interpret means to get a better idea. But I don't want to go into that too much. So again, we assess and report on the outcome. Our cusps are what support that decision. And same thing in math, they are not all weighted equally, and kids don't have to master every single cusp. The question is, to what extent can they meet the outcome? And again, we use our triangulation of evidence. So some examples here of what triangulation means: observations, conversations, and products. So photos, checklists, anecdotes, small group work, whole class work, peer conversations, conversations and interviews with the teacher, journals, centers, teacher-directed activities or products, student creations. These are all examples. And sometimes, Mary, I don't know if you've ever gotten this question too, but sometimes I get the question of, is a conversation equal to a test? Right? Do we weigh those the same in our judgment? What's kind of your insight?
I think absolutely, because you'll get kids who will, do a quiz and completely freeze up. And then you have a conversation of, well, what do you think this should be? And then they say, oh, well, it's blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing as writing it down. They can still explain their thinking. Then, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, they can explain their thinking, they can reason through it.
Yep.
Sometimes reasoning is easier to talk out than it is to
Yeah.
actually write down what you mean. So I like that, right? That being able to explain it in different ways. So um, while there's no hard and fast rules about assessment, I think at the end of the day, assessment is tricky. Assessment is a messy space to play around it. And sometimes having these conversations about that in particular is really valuable. And of course, I mean, we love to geek out on this kind of stuff, so you can always have that conversation with us. But yeah, I agree, right? Are they equal? I think they are. It depends on the test. It depends on the
Hmm.
question too, right? There's so much to consider.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to get into this too much, just to kind of cap this off. I like this visual of triangulation, right? We're lost at sea, and if we only have one coordinate, it's going to take them a really long time to find us because this one coordinate covers so much. When we add a second coordinate in, we get a lot more precise, right? But there's still issues with having two coordinates there. Um, it's better, but we can get an even more precise location on where we are when we triangulate our evidence by using observations, conversations, and products in our assessment. Then we get a really accurate full picture of the question: to what extent does the student meet this learning outcome? And then we can go from there. So not just testing, not just conversations, not just observations, but this full triangulation of all three pieces will give us the full picture. And we're fortunate, right, in elementary that we're not bound to a program like, D2L where we have to input percentages, right? We do have this freedom to really differentiate our assessment and get authentic data from kids. And so, I don't know, I feel very fortunate to be in elementary for that reason. Gives us a bit more freedom. Okay, so this is a tool that you may have seen earlier in the year. This is our outcome reflection tool. It's found on the NCIS site. Mary, when you get a second, can you drop that in the chat too? Um,
Absolutely.
thank you. If you click on your grade and then you click on planning tools, planning tools and templates, you'll find this tool. It also exists for ELAL, for Division 2, and then the science and PhilAL is there for Division 1. that will continue to be updated as new curriculum is implemented. So this tool, it comes in a PDF and in a Excel sheet, so you can edit it online or print it. And it has that space for that triangulation, those observations, conversations, and products. Personally, I like it digital in Google Sheets because this is a very tiny space. So it's nice to be able to like spread out your words there. But this is there to kind of support your triangulation. So that's in there as a tool for you as well. So we're at the end of the year. It's time to do our progress reports. How do we determine student achievement levels? This is our progress report system, right? AC, AB, EX, NY, and then of course NM. And I always want to refer back to this chart because this has the vocabulary that we need to answer that question: to what extent did the student meet the outcome? So if we look at the verbs within this, excellence, EX means consistent, exceptional, in-depth understanding, right? These are important. We're going to use these verbs in our progress reports. AB means proficient, a solid understanding. AC means basic or a general understanding. And NY means an inconsistent or inadequate understanding of that learning outcome. And then of course, no mark is could not assess. So these verbs are built into the progress report STEM builder tool. So just be aware that they come from those descriptors that are printed directly on the progress report. So using that same language keeps the consistency in the progress report as well. And of course, you can find synonyms for these as well if you have different synonyms you want to use, but I want to draw your attention to that. So if we look at this, this is an example of a teacher grade book for a student. We have along the top the learning outcomes. We have 6 different learning outcomes for this subject, and then our students' names, student 1, 2, and 3 are down the side. Now, if we look at these last 4 learning outcomes, these might have been the outcomes that we addressed since the last reporting period. We can see the grades that this teacher gave to this student on those outcomes. Now, your gradebook might be a little more robust than this, but if we just sort of simplify it to this, I don't know, Mary, what do you think? What are your thoughts about this student?
I mean, so much of it, we had this conversation at one PGA was giving it. It's like so much of it is, it depends.
No, I know.
Right? But I don't know. For learning outcome 4, I would say that's probably an AC. That's the most consistent mark. Right? And that's where most of our students are supposed to be, right? They're supposed to be AC. So like, great job getting that AB, but most consistently would be an AC, I think.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, right? There's certainly with the learning outcomes 6, there's a progression, right? We have an
Yeah.
AC, an EX, and AB. This shows growth. This shows learning, right? That this student is growing and improving. Same with learning out. Actually, all of them have a bit of a
Yeah.
progression built in them. And I think that that in itself is really interesting data. We're only going to report on one of these outcomes, but we want to look at the whole thing. We want to look at that growth. Now, we don't know the order teachers did this in. We don't know the value of what each of these tasks are. There's so much more context that we're not
Yeah.
aware of here. You know what? I'm going to err on the side of the student and their learning here, and I'm going to go with an AB.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you're looking at overall for ELAL, that would I think I would agree that would be an AB. Sorry, I thought you were just talking about one outcome,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, if you're looking at the student overall, yeah, I would say AB.
Yeah. And I can see an argument for AC too. I can see an argument for EX. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it looks like the majority of the marks were AB. That's the most, with 4 and 3 ACs and 2 EXs. So yeah, I would probably go AB for that.
And this is the work, right? This is the
Yeah.
complexity of assigning those grades, and that's why it's nice to have somebody to chat with and
Mhm.
and bounce these ideas off of, because it is complex. There's no direct answer. There's no formula, but
Yeah.
something to think about anyways. It's just food for thought as
Yeah.
we go into this. So let's get into the builder tool now. The builder tool has only been built out for new curriculum subjects. So for our division 1, that's ELAL, English, and then the PhilAl, French, the math, the science, and then the phys ed and wellness. For division 2, we have everything there but the science and the PhilAl. the rest of the program of studies, like old curriculum subjects, are still linked within the Builder tool. So you can still access those, but they're going to align with the old program of studies, old curriculum. As the new curriculum continues to be implemented, the consultants will continue to update the Builder tool and add those in. So so this is a working document. So we're going to get into the Builder tool. It's on the NCIS site. This is the easiest way to access it. You're going to click on your grade progress reports, and then it's going to take you to the Builder tool. There's a different Builder tool for every grade. So you want to, if you're a grade 5 teacher, you want to be in a grade 5 Builder tool. When you click on it, it's going to prompt you to make a copy. You're going to make a copy, which is saved in your Google Drive, and then it's now your file. You get to edit it. So I'm going to exit here and I'm going to show this process. So I'm on the front page of the NCIS site. We can do grade 5. Let's go nuts here, grade 5. And I'm going to click on progress reports. Here's my progress report page. Now it's really important to note too that these videos are here to support. They're quick. What is the comment stem builder tool? How do I use it? And then this video down here, this black and purple one, this is the one that connects your comments once they're built out to PowerSchool. And this was made by Jody Waltz, a tech consultant. And so this one is really key because there's a few tricks that she's shared to get those comments out of the Builder tool and into the PowerTeacher Pro. So come back to this video here when you need to. So I'm going to click on this. You'll see that I get prompted to make a copy. It takes a second to load. And then this is what the Builder tool looks like. So I'll show you a few features of it. I'm going to go to the front page here, the general information. I'll make this a bit bigger. Yeah, that's probably okay. Hey, let's go even bigger. So a few things here. The links to the videos are right up at the top. A little bit of information about how we actually create the progress report stem. So, you know, what has been taught in class, a positive statement regarding one of the cusps, and then a cusp that is a next step of learning is a general outline. Of course, you can deviate from this, but this is just a very general basic outline. And we have some examples here, some links to some other district information. Again, that video of PowerTeacher Pro, so important, that's linked in here. This right here, this yellow CSSD Elementary STEM Banks, this is where you can access the old curriculum comment stems. So they're not built into the tool. You have to go to this link and access them there. If you don't have Grammarly installed, Grammarly is a game changer for progress reports. It'll fix all of your grammar, all of your spelling. So it's free. Sign up for it, get it installed on your computer. It will reduce the work of progress reports by hours. So we put a link here for Grammarly. This piece over here on the left is also very important. It goes through all of the scenarios of what a no mark means, what a not yet means, and that procedure of giving a not yet, the asterisks, right? The infamous asterisks that is very kind of confusing and misleading. We have talked with DLTs to build this out. We have information about asterisks. And then these words, I will never get these right, no matter how many times I look at them: accommodated, adapted, and modified. So this reference is here for you so that we use the correct language in our progress reports. It just saves on editing, right? We want to get it right from the first time so that we don't have to work so hard at it. When to uppercase and lowercase, right? So like the subject of math is uppercase, but doing math problems is lowercase, like little things like that. Work habits, stuff about, these are the comment stems that go in. So like an ELL student, copy and paste this into their work habits. An LSP student, copy and paste this into their work habits. It's all there for you. You don't have to go hunt your DLT down to find it. So this information page is your general one-stop shop of everything progress reports, rather than having to go back into files and stuff. The next page here is the guided process. So this again is working to look at our assessment data, compile it, and create or come up with which grades we'll assign to each student. So there's a video here that walks you through how to use it, and then a link to the document here that you can use to go through that guided process. We've talked about coming up with grades already, so I'm not going to go into this. We're going to go into the builder template here. Now there's two options for the builder template. You can either build your stems within this Google Sheets template, or you can click this here. This will take you to a Google Doc. I know copying and pasting in Sheets is tricky. So if you prefer to copy and paste into a Google Doc, just click this and it will open a new document. And then you can put your stems in there instead. It might just be easier for you. We built them both in, so you have choice. Um, these are the verbs again, right? Consistent, exceptional, in-depth understanding for excellence. And then I've given a few synonyms here to help you. So we can copy and paste these to qualify our grades. So they're in pink here, so we can see them really easily. And then I've also put a bunch of examples of comment stems here. So if we're giving an EX, we can say, you know, Mary is able to demonstrate an in-depth understanding of, and then I give the cusp there, right? So some areas of strength comment stems here. See how it's pink because it lines up with the qualifying words with the grades. And then there's also comment stems with to support with areas of growth. Again, you don't have to use these. They're there to just provide some other insight, but you certainly can. And then these are the stems that go into the LSPs and the ELLs and stuff. So you can just copy and paste them directly in. Also note that this builder tool doesn't change the names and the he, she's for you. This is building your stems. You have to drop it into PowerTeacher Pro to add the names. So we want to build it with the first name and the he slash she and all of those things in here. When we drop them into PowerTeacher, that's going to change. So over here, we have our subjects again, ELAL, math, science. It goes on like this. And we've created a space here for our term 1 EX comment, AB comment, right? We're just creating our generic comments in here, but then also our term 2. So this way you can go back and see what your comment was from term 1. I always used to do that just to make sure I'm not writing the same thing, that I have different things to work on. So it's just easier to have all of your comments from term 1 and term 2 in one place. Our term 1 comments are going to be in present tense because we're working on those outcomes. We're working towards those outcomes. Our term 2 comments are going to be in past tense because we worked on those outcomes, right? We are finished now because we're done the school year. So that's the biggest difference in these. So term 1 and term 2 for all of the subjects here that we can then go in and paste in and start building. So that's the actual tool page. Our stems, however, come from these pages along the bottom. So we have ELAL, we have math, we have phys ed and wellness, and then we have our PhilAl, which I chose a Division 2 subject, so these aren't finished, but they're coming soon. Let's go to math because that's our happy place, right, Mary? So this is the grade 5 math comment stem. Along the top, we've created example comments. So an example EX, an example AB, and so on. So you can see how they kind of flow together, and they're color coded so that you can see the different elements of it. You can see in the hot pink there, they all have that qualifying word that aligns with that grade. So the EX has consistently, the AB has proficiently, AC has basic, and then limited for NY, right? So we're keeping that consistency. Mary, does it look okay on your end? Can you see it big enough, or should I go bigger?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've got it. I'm watching it on my screen too. You can go even bigger.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
As we go down here, again, you'll see we have January and June. These are our part A in red. And this is the outcome, because remember, we assess and report on the outcome. The only difference between these is present tense and past tense, right? Students have been analyzing, students analyzed. That's the only difference between the January and the June, is the tense, so that we're keeping that consistent between the two. This is our outcomes. And so because this is marked in red, you see that this is the first part of our comment. So we choose an outcome that we're going to report on, whichever one you think, right? Maybe the last one you did, or the one the student excelled in the most. You want to, err on the side of that student. So we start with that. So we can do, let's go nuts. Let's do divisibility of natural numbers. So I'm going to choose my June the Control C and Control V is your friend here. So if you don't know those, to copy, we're going to hold Control and C at the same time. So I'm going to go Control C. You can see that it's selected, and I'm going to go back to my builder template. I'm going to find my math term 2, and I'm going to drop this in. Okay, so now I've done the first part. I'm going to go back to math. And then I'm going to choose a cusp. Now, it doesn't have to be aligned with that particular outcome. It's kind of consistent if it is, but you don't have to. So these are 3 cusps that go along with that outcome. Maybe I'm going to choose the first one as something that my student did really well. So I'm going to copy and paste, Control C. I'm going to go back to my builder template. I'm going to click in this, make sure you can see the flashing cursor, or actually you can even go up here. This is almost easier. And then I'm going to paste it. Now, this isn't a complete sentence, right? So I'm going to come down again, and I'm going to find a stem for what they did good. I should have done that first, actually. An area of growth for first name. No, area of strength. So I'm going to copy this first one, Control C. Come back over here to my comment. Here it is. I'm going to come and do it up in this thing here. So I'm going to go right before the word investigate, Control V. Sometimes it does these weird things with formatting. This is why Google Docs is sometimes easier, but I'm okay with it. First name is able to demonstrate a blank understanding of, I have to change the tense here, investigating divisibility by natural numbers to 10, whatever. I still need an achievement level word. So this is my EX comment. So I'm going to choose an EX verb. Which one? Exceptional?
Yeah,
Consistent?
exceptional.
Let's do exceptional. I'm going to copy exceptional. I'm going to come back to my comment over here. Here it is. Again, I'm going to work up here because it's just easier. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to press Control V. Just have to clean it up a little bit. This should be an because exceptional starts with a vowel. There we go. So this is my EX comment. In mathematics, students determine divisibility of natural numbers. First name is able to demonstrate an exceptional understanding of investigating divisibility by natural numbers to 10, including 0. Now I need an area of growth. I'm going to start with my stem here. So I'm going to come down here. I need an area of growth sentence starter, an area of growth. Let's do, because this is my EX. So I'm going to go continue to extend. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to Control C to copy. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to click at the end of my sentence. Control V to paste. So he, she can continue to extend, and now I need a cusp. So I'm going to go back to math. This was my outcome. Generalized divisibility test or determine factors. Let's go with determine factors. I like that one. I'm going to select it, Control C, so it's selected. Back to my builder template. I'm going to select the sentence. I come here and press V. I got to delete some of these. Kind of goes nuts with that. I'm going to make sure I don't have too many spaces. There you go. There's my EX comment. I can use the same comment for my AB, but what are the things I'm going to change? Definitely going to change my qualifying word. I'm not going to use, what did I use? Exceptional. I'm not going to use that. Instead, I might use proficient or has a solid understanding. And then I might even change some of my sentence starters to more reflect what an AB means in my class this year. But I can use the same outcome in the same cusps, or we can change up the cusps, of course. So that's how we build it. Now, I know that copying and pasting within Excel or within Google Sheets is a little tricky. So if you're just getting frustrated with that process, drop it in a Google Doc as well. You can either use the Google Doc we made or just your own blank Google Doc, build those stems out. If you have Grammarly installed, Grammarly will fix your errors for you within Google. It will literally fix everything for you. It will make all of your grammar, punctuation, spelling proper. So you don't have to do that work after. So that's really huge. Sound okay?
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Okay. It's the same stuff for ELAL. The ELAL curriculum is really big, right? And it's really it's more complicated to report on. So we've given some examples up here of how to bring in some of the different elements of it, because of course we're always working on things like vocabulary, right? We're always working on things like reading. So how do we accurately report on this? It's a little bit more complex. There's just a little bit more in ELAL. So those people have given some examples there. And of course you can reach out to Camille or Kim Goosen at any time if you have questions about that. But it's the same. I'm zoomed in so far here you can't even see. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It's the same structure, right? Our January and our June outcome. The only difference is the tense, present and past, and then all of our cusps that you can use to support the comment. So ELA math and Pew is the exact same thing here as well. So that's the builder tool really in a nutshell. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and we really built it with the intention of really focusing back on the outcome, and not getting lost in the cusps, but focusing on that outcome, and then making a tool that is efficient and easy for teachers to use, to reduce the amount of work that progress reports take, right? Because we know that it could take weekends, it could take hours to build this, so it really is built with that in mind. I should also say too that, like, I know sometimes there's a push to report on something like a really great poster. Like Mary made a really great poster about the Iroquois Confederacy. But there isn't an outcome about making a really cool poster about the Iroquois Confederacy. And so we can add that as part of the cusp, like Mary was able to achieve this outcome through this cusp in the means of a really great poster, but we don't want to report on that really great poster. This is, a progress report. It's a legal document. We want to make sure that we are reporting back on the outcomes. Not only is this the way that it's intended to be, it also takes a lot of work off of our plates to have to go in and make those really hyper-focused, individualized comments and step back a little bit and use the architecture of the curriculum to support us in this work so that we can focus on that outcome rather than kind of getting lost in details. So we hope that opportunity is helpful as well. I should say too, once you have your builder template all built out, you have all of your progress reports, comment stems, you can then take this tool and then copy out of it. So Control C, and then go to PowerTeacher Pro and Control V into the platform there. I believe though, and the video goes through very clearly what to do, this one that Jody made, you have to create the stem in the stem bank, because it won't apply the smart text if you just drop it in the comment box. So you have to make a stem in the stem bank that you can call your math term 2 EX comment or something, and then you apply that stem out of the stem bank to that student. I believe that's right, Mary?
Yeah,
Does
you
that
have
sound
to
right?
create a new comment. You can't drop it into the student's progress report when you're going through your progress reports. It has to be a comment that then once it's in your bank, then you can add it to the student. You can't go directly into the student's progress report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And once you kind of get going with that, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy. If you've never done it before, watch the video first, reach out to us. We can certainly support you, but we can't show you what that looks like because we don't have students. So we don't even have access to PowerTeacher, so we can't really get into that process. But Jody has been able to do that. So so that should be fairly straightforward, but of course we're here to support. The other thing I want to mention is that this is the comment stem for grade 5 and 6 math. So if you're a grade 5 and 6 teacher, or you have 5 and 6 teachers in your school, can you please make sure they know this? We know that there's significant gaps in the math curriculum. We are bridging into the new curriculum, and so it's very important that all grade 5 and 6 teachers copy and paste this comment exactly as it's written into your progress report stem. You can go at the beginning. I would suggest the beginning. kind of makes sense at the beginning. It can also go at the end if you like that better. Please don't modify it or change it. This has been approved from higher up, so please use this comment stem exactly as it's written. So be aware of that as you do your grade 5 and 6 comments, that you have to leave the space for one extra sentence, cut down the comment a little bit. It's really important that we are very clear that we were working towards the outcomes this year, but we may not have reached mastery in all of those comments. We do have to report on that. It's important in the progress report. So spread the word, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. This is the grade 5 and 6 that needs to be put into their progress reports for end of year. And I think that's it. We are alone in here, so we have no questions. Which is great. You're all going to watch this on a Wild Friday night on your own. That's great. But of course, if you have any questions at all, you can always email us if you have questions specific to the progress report tool. Myself, Mary, we are like quite proficient in it. You can email us, of course. If you have questions about your subject specifically and you need to talk with the science consultant or the ELA consultant and you don't remember their names, it's okay. You can email us all at elementary@cssd.ab.ca. We'll all see it. We'll be able to make sure that the right person gets back to you with your questions. So of course, we're here to support during progress report time. We're here to make this process easier, shorter, less or more pleasant. Let's go with more pleasant. So we really hope that this tool helps with that. Yeah, that's all.
There you go.
All right.
Stop recording.
Thanks. I'm going to stop recording. Take it easy.